If you think women want kindness, stability, and constant love, then why did she leave you for a man who gave her none of that? Tonight, I will reveal the forbidden knowledge every man needs to know. Truths hidden in psychology and philosophy, too dangerous to be taught in schools. Before we dive deeper, hit that subscribe button, because what you're about to hear will change how you see women, relationships, and yourself forever. Stay with me. You've been told since childhood that being a good man is the secret to winning a woman's heart. Be polite, be gentle, be giving. Open doors for her, bring her flowers, listen patiently, and never raise your voice. Society fed you this script. Your teachers reinforced it, and maybe even your own mother whispered it into your ear as a boy. But when you followed it to the letter, when you devoted yourself to her as if she were your reason for breathing, what happened? She left. She didn't just leave. You watched her fall into the arms of a man who did none of those things. A man who was reckless, sometimes arrogant, maybe even cruel. And deep down, you asked yourself the forbidden question: if being good is enough, why do women not desire it? Here lies the brutal truth. Being good is not the problem. Being predictable is. A good guy is safe, but safe quickly becomes boring. Predictable means she knows your next move before you make it. She knows what you'll say when she's upset. She knows how you'll react when she tests you. She knows you'll forgive every mistake and beg her to stay. In psychology, predictability satisfies comfort, but kills excitement. And excitement, not comfort, is the engine of desire. When you become a man whose every gesture is guaranteed, you are not a lover in her eyes. You are furniture. Useful, reliable, always there. But no woman falls asleep dreaming of furniture. She dreams of the storm. History itself offers cruel examples of this dynamic. Think of Socrates, the great philosopher, respected by men, admired by scholars, remembered as one of the wisest minds to ever walk the earth. Yet he was never the figure women burned for. His wisdom was safe, his demeanor humble, his life disciplined, almost ascetic. He represented the stability of reason, and that stability rarely fuels passion. Now look at Alexander the Great. Arrogant, ruthless, unpredictable. A man who could destroy cities in one hand and build empires with the other. Women didn't line up for Socratic lectures, but they whispered about Alexander's conquests, both on the battlefield and in the bedroom. Why? Because cruelty is not what made him desirable. It was his vitality, his danger, the sense that he could not be contained. Desire feeds on energy that moves, energy that conquers, energy that might one day turn its fire toward her. And this lesson is older than philosophy, older than empire. It is written into the female psyche. Survival once depended on men who could protect, command, and conquer. A man who is safe may be respected, even appreciated, but he is rarely desired. And so, many good men fall into the same trap, confusing respect with attraction, thinking admiration equals passion. It doesn't. Respect might earn you a place at the table, but it won't earn you a place in her heart. That belongs to the man who is unpredictable enough to awaken her instincts. So, if being good isn't enough, what exactly do women respond to? Desire is not a mystery. It is biology written into the marrow of our bones. For millions of years, survival depended not on who could whisper sweet words, but on who could fight, hunt, and command. Women did not have the luxury of choosing men for kindness. Their bodies, their instincts, were sharpened by evolution to seek out the man who could keep them alive. And that instinct has not disappeared, no matter how civilized society claims to be. This is why a woman might smile at the poet, but dream of the warrior. Why she might nod at the philosopher's brilliance, but secretly crave the man who carries danger in his presence. Biology rewards unpredictability, risk, and strength. It whispers, Choose the one who can conquer, because if he can conquer the world, he can protect you from it. Think about it. The women who survived in harsh tribes thousands of years ago were not the ones who gave themselves to men who were gentle, fragile, or weak. They survived because they chose men who could kill, defend, and lead. And those women passed down their genes, their instincts, their psychology. That same psychology still breathes in the women walking down the streets of New York or Los Angeles today. You see, love is not an invention of modern romance novels. Love is a biological contract, a survival mechanism. What she feels as attraction is her body saying, "This man could keep me alive." What she feels as boredom is her biology warning, "This man cannot lead me through chaos." Even philosophy recognizes this cruel law of nature. Thomas Hobbes once wrote that life in its rawest form is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. In such a world, who would a woman choose to stand beside? Not the man who hesitates, not the man who begs, but the one who carries certainty in uncertainty. Nietzsche called it the will to power, that inner drive to expand, to dominate circumstances, to shape reality instead of being shaped by it. Women sense this will instantly. It is not arrogance that excites them, but vitality. The raw flame of a man who refuses to be extinguished. That is why, even in the age of equality, women are still drawn to the men who embody danger, risk, and purpose. They might protest, they might claim they want stability, but watch their eyes when an unpredictable man enters the room. Watch how their voice changes when they speak of an arrogant leader, a rebellious artist, a man who seems untamed. That glow is not confusion. It is desire encoded in their DNA. Psychology calls it the attraction to dominant cues, signals that a man can survive, protect, and lead. And here lies the brutal paradox. The very qualities society tells you to suppress, your aggression, your hunger, your will, are the same forces that ignite desire. Without them, you may be respected, but you will never be truly wanted. But danger alone is not enough. What she truly craves is something far more subtle. There is an archetype women desire but rarely admit, the untamed man. He is not violent, not abusive, not the reckless brute who destroys everything in his path. No, he is something far more dangerous. He is the man who refuses to be domesticated, who cannot be reduced to a checklist or controlled by the expectations of others. He exists outside the cage of predictability, and that very freedom electrifies the women around him. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor of Rome, a man of wisdom, restraint, and unmatched discipline. To men, he was the perfect model of virtue, but even his writings reveal how deeply he wrestled with the tension between duty and desire. Now contrast him with Alexander the Great, whose legend was not built on moderation, but on excess. Untamed hunger for conquest, restless energy, an unstoppable will to expand. To men, Alexander was dangerous, unpredictable, sometimes reckless. To women, he was irresistible. Not because cruelty is attractive, but because the aura of untamed energy radiates vitality, and vitality is what fuels desire. A woman does not lie awake fantasizing about a man who obeys every rule. She dreams of the man who could break them all, but chooses when to hold back. The untamed man carries both chaos and control inside him. She knows he could burn the world, yet he restrains himself with purpose. And that tension, that paradox, is what ignites her. This is why the untamed man is more than a lover. He is an archetype buried deep in the female psyche. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow, the hidden forces we repress but secretly long for. The untamed man is the living embodiment of that shadow, primal, free, unapologetically alive. Women might say they want stability, but what they respond to is potential energy, contained power that could erupt at any moment. Picture a lion in a cage. Safe, predictable, neutered. Now picture a lion prowling free on the savannah, its strength visible, its hunger undeniable. Which image excites more awe, more reverence, more desire? This is why women are drawn to the men who do not need them to complete their lives. He may love her, but she is never his purpose. He may cherish her, but she is not the center of his existence. She is drawn in because she knows she cannot tame him, cannot fully possess him, and that is precisely why she wants him more. For women, desire thrives not on ownership, but on pursuit. The untamed man never becomes a finished story. He is a book with missing chapters, a fire that never burns the same way twice. She spends her life trying to uncover him, but the mystery always slips just out of reach. And that mystery is what keeps her hooked. So, how does a man cultivate this untamed energy without losing his humanity? If you want to understand what truly keeps a woman's desire alive, you must grasp the 3 laws of male magnetism. These are not tricks, not lines you can memorize, but principles as old as civilization itself. The first law is purpose above all. A man who makes a woman the center of his universe loses the very energy that attracted her in the first place. She does not want to be your mission. She wants to witness a man on a mission. Look at Napoleon. He conquered empires with fire in his eyes, his letters filled with ambition and obsession for power. And yet, when it came to Josephine, he broke the first law. He needed her more than she needed him, and in that moment, the Emperor of Europe became a beggar for affection. Desire fled. Why? Because a man consumed by a woman alone has already surrendered his power. The second law is controlled scarcity. What is rare is valuable. What is abundant loses its worth. This is not cynicism. It is basic economics applied to human attraction. When your attention is constant, she no longer craves it. When your love is unconditional in the literal sense, always available no matter how she treats you, it becomes background noise. Desire does not thrive on certainty. It thrives on risk. The toy she cannot reach excites her far more than the one she already owns. Scarcity fuels imagination, and imagination fuels passion. The third law is emotional mystery. A man who reveals everything, every thought, every feeling, every insecurity, becomes consumed too quickly, like a book she finishes in one sitting. Attraction is born from tension, from the silence between words, from the unknown that lingers in the space you do not fill. Aristotle once wrote about potential and act, the difference between what could be and what already is. The untamed man embodies potential. He does not shout his emotions or perform his strength. He carries them quietly, and the woman senses it, feels it, without needing explanation. This mystery keeps her mind occupied, her imagination restless, her desire alive. Think of the men women obsess over, not because they are the most handsome or the richest, but because they are unpredictable, unreadable, untamed. She wonders, will he call? Will he stay? Will he walk away? That uncertainty is not cruelty. It is attraction's fuel. Together, these 3 laws, purpose, scarcity, and mystery, form the core of male magnetism. Without them, you may be respected, even loved, but never desired. And remember this, respect without desire is friendship, but desire without respect can still ignite passion. Which one do you think women choose first? But laws alone don't keep her desire alive. There's another force at play, something deeper, something primal, polarity. At the root of all attraction lies a law even deeper than purpose, scarcity, or mystery. It is the law of polarity, the magnetic pull between masculine and feminine. Just as electricity requires a positive and negative charge, desire requires difference. Without difference, there is no spark, no fire, no hunger. Yet modern culture teaches men to erase their polarity. Don't be too masculine. It's toxic. Don't be too emotional. It's weak. And so men carve away both edges until they become a bland, neutral shadow of themselves. Not masculine enough to ignite passion, not feminine enough to nurture intimacy, simply stuck in the dead zone. And what happens when you enter that dead zone? You become her best friend, her safe companion, her therapist on demand. She respects you, yes, but respect is not desire. Desire lives in the clash of energies, his strength against her softness, his stillness against her storm, his direction against her flow. The paradox is cruel but clear. The more you try to be safe and agreeable, the more you kill the very polarity that draws her to you. Women don't dream of men they can fully control. They dream of men who stand as their opposite, men who bring a force into their life that they cannot create on their own. Aristotle spoke of potential and act, the difference between what could happen and what already has. Desire thrives in potential, not completion. When a man is fully readable, when every emotion is exposed, every move anticipated, he becomes pure act, already consumed, already finished. But the man who carries potential energy, who could walk away, who could erupt with passion, who could change the direction of her world, keeps her in constant tension. This is polarity, not cruelty, not manipulation, but the raw physics of attraction. Think of how a woman tests a man with small provocations, sarcasm, drama, unnecessary challenges. These are not accidents, they are polarity checks. She is asking without words, are you still that man who can stand his ground, who refuses to be pulled into weakness? The man who fails these tests by apologizing too quickly, by bending for peace, by explaining himself endlessly, he dissolves his polarity. The man who passes them does not fight, nor does he submit. He holds his frame with calm, with presence, with unshakable energy. That calm is power, and power is what keeps her desire alive. This is why polarity is not just about gender roles, but about energy itself, masculine and feminine, order and chaos, act and potential. When polarity dies, attraction dies. And when attraction dies, no amount of kindness, loyalty, or stability can bring it back. And this is why she tests you. Not to annoy you, but to see if you are still that man, or if you've already surrendered your edge. Every man, whether he admits it or not, faces a trial by fire in his relationships. Psychologists call it a compliance test. Men on the internet call it a shit test. But the truth is far older. It is the ancient instinct of polarity at work. When a woman pushes your buttons, when she provokes you for no reason, when she throws unnecessary drama into a calm evening, she is not simply trying to hurt you. She is testing you. She is asking, silently but powerfully, can you withstand me? Can you remain a man when the storm comes? This test is not about logic, not about fairness. It is primal. Her biology wants proof that you are still the man who can hold his ground, who will not collapse at the first sign of conflict. And here is where most men fail. Because modern men are trained to avoid conflict at all costs. When she yells, they lower their voice. When she accuses, they explain. When she pushes, they retreat. They believe peace is the solution, when in reality, peace is poison to attraction. The more you explain yourself, the more you bend to her moods, the more you apologize for things you did not do, the faster her respect drains away. You think you are keeping her, but you are losing her with every word. Because she does not want to win these battles. She wants to know that you could win them all, but choose not to fight every time. Imagine two men in the same scene. The first is the good guy. His woman starts a fight over nothing. Maybe he forgot to text back quickly. Maybe she feels insecure for reasons he cannot understand. He panics. He explains. He reassures. He apologizes, though he has done nothing wrong. He bends, and in bending, he breaks the frame of masculinity. The fight drags on. Her desire dries up, and she goes to bed feeling safe but uninspired. Now imagine the second man, the untamed man. She raises her voice, but he does not flinch. She accuses, but he does not explain. Instead, he looks at her, calm, unshaken, as if he is weighing whether the storm is worth his energy. Maybe he smiles faintly. Maybe he continues reading his book. Maybe, in the heat of her anger, he grabs her waist, looks into her eyes, and kisses her without a word. The fight ends not in exhaustion, but in desire. What is the difference? One man negotiates from weakness, the other acts from strength. The first man tries to extinguish the fire, the second man contains it, channels it, transforms it. And women feel this difference instantly. The good guy becomes her emotional son, someone she must manage, soothe, or even scold. The untamed man remains her lover, a force of nature she cannot fully control. This is the test of fire. Fail it, and you lose her respect. Pass it, and you ignite her attraction all over again. But what truly separates the weak from the strong is not how he handles her, it's how he handles himself. The greatest aphrodisiac a man can ever carry is not wealth, not beauty, not even status. It is self-mastery. A man who cannot govern himself will never govern desire, because women sense weakness the way sharks sense blood in the water. When you cannot control your impulses, when you cannot stop yourself from chasing, begging, or checking her phone at midnight, you are no longer a man in her eyes. You are a slave to her validation, and no woman can desire a slave. Self-mastery begins in silence. It begins in the ability to feel fear and act anyway, to feel anger but not lash out, to feel love but not lose yourself in it. This is why Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius or Epictetus still command respect centuries later. They taught that a man who masters himself cannot be conquered by external chaos. And women feel this in their bones. They may complain that such men seem distant, too focused, too disciplined, but they never truly leave them. Why? Because beneath the complaints lies recognition. This man is stronger than me, stronger than the storm, stronger even than his own emotions. That recognition is attraction. It is not about coldness, it is about presence. A man who does not need to broadcast his feelings, who does not vomit his emotions on the table, but carries them with calm restraint, creates tension. And tension is the currency of desire. Think of it this way. The man who cannot master himself becomes predictable, because his every move is dictated by need. Need for approval, need for love, need for reassurance. When she pulls away, he panics. When she grows silent, he floods her with messages. When she tests him, he collapses into apology. His emotions are puppets dancing on her strings. But the man of self-mastery is untouchable. He can love deeply, but never desperately. He can give generously, but never at the cost of his dignity. He can be devoted, but never dependent. And that balance is intoxicating. Why do women chase after men who seem consumed by their work, their art, their mission? They may complain, "He doesn't give me enough attention." But they do not leave. Because deep inside they know that his time and energy are rare, and rare things have value. He belongs first to himself, and only then can he choose to belong to her. That choice, voluntary, not desperate, is what makes his love powerful. The self-mastered man becomes magnetic because he is whole without her. And paradoxically, it is the man who does not need her who makes her want him the most. For in his presence, she feels what every woman secretly longs for, the thrill of being chosen, not out of lack, but out of abundance. And when you master yourself, women sense it without a word, because self-respect radiates louder than any declaration of love. So now we arrive at the most brutal truth of all. She never left you because you weren't good enough. She left because you stopped being a man she could admire, a man she could feel. You traded fire for comfort, unpredictability for routine, power for peace. You thought love was something you earned once and could then preserve forever. But love is not preservation. Love is war. Desire is a battlefield where the weak are consumed and the strong, those who carry purpose, scarcity, mystery, polarity, and self-mastery, are the ones who inspire loyalty, obsession, and respect. Look back honestly and you will see the exact moment you lost. It wasn't when she met someone else. It wasn't when she grew cold. It was when you stopped leading and started following, when you began asking for permission instead of giving direction, when you became her emotional son instead of her lover. The monster she secretly craves is not violent, not cruel, not abusive. He is the man who chooses to live a life larger than her, larger than any relationship, larger even than himself. He is a man of mission, a man of mystery, a man of will. And deep down, every woman knows that to stand beside such a man is the rarest privilege she will ever taste. So, what do you do with this knowledge? You do not become cruel. You do not play games. You do not mimic dominance from cheap seduction manuals. You strip away the weakness, the fear, the desperate hunger that made you predictable, and you return to the man you were before society tamed you. The boy who once dreamed without permission, who once faced the world without apology. That boy is the father of the man you must now awaken. Because the greatest tragedy is not that women reject you. The greatest tragedy is that you rejected yourself first. And if you continue down that road, you will die not as a man, but as a lamb, obedient, quiet, forgettable. But if you choose differently, if you choose to rise, to embrace the danger of self-mastery, to live with purpose greater than love itself, you will discover the archetype she secretly desires, and you will never beg again. This is not about women. This is about you. And when you rise, when you finally let the monster breathe, she will feel it without a word. Because women do not fall in love with words. They fall in love with presence, with danger, with life itself. And that life is waiting inside you. If this truth struck you hard, don't just sit in silence. Subscribe now, because here we speak the knowledge men are forbidden to hear, the knowledge that turns lambs into lions. Leave a comment below and tell me the exact moment you realized you were too good, too predictable. I'll see you in the next video, where we go even deeper into the psychology of power, desire, and the art of becoming the man you were meant to be.